We are excited to have you on the call today to learn a little bit more about the construction field, specifically construction operations and the project manager role. So super excited to have so many panelists with us representing different parts of that industry and just here to share their story this morning. So students, one thing I would like you to do so that we can get to know you a little bit is if you could make sure that your name is correct. You can change your name by hovering over the three little dots in the top right-hand corner of your screen. But if you put your full name and the school that you are currently attending and perhaps the grade level that you are in, and I know we might have some DMAC students on the line too. That's great, but we would just like to know who we're talking to today. We are also going to utilize the chat function. So on the bottom of the screen, you'll see a little chat. Please write in your questions there, or if you feel comfortable, you can unmute yourself and ask your question to us live. But again, welcome. We're really glad to have you this morning and to discuss the construction industry a little bit. So with no further ado, I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves. So please just state your name and who you work for, what your position is, and perhaps just a real short little bit of information on your educational background. Okay, so can we start with Annette?
Good morning. My name is Annette Rosa, and I work with the Whites Company here in Des Moines, Iowa. My position is I'm an assistant project engineer, and that encompasses multiple roles all put into one job title in a sense. My educational background is I am a marketing major from AIB, which is American Institute of Business. That was here in Des Moines, and just worked my way up through the industry and got to where I'm at now.
Great, thanks, Annette. And how about Damien?
Damien Bettis with Turner Construction, and here in West Des Moines, Iowa, working on a data center project. I am currently a assistant engineer, primarily working with MEP telecom, so mechanical, electrical, plumbing. And some of my education background, I actually went to a trade school in Indianapolis, Indiana, for electronic systems technology. And then I started out in field operations, and then I've worked up to an engineering position. So.
Great, thanks for being here, Damien. And Lindsay.
Hi, my name is Lindsay DeJean. I am a project environmental health and safety manager, and I also manage OSIP in coordination with insurance. And I am currently on a data center project with Turner Construction as well. And I actually didn't start off with the normal educational background to be a safety professional. I am a biochem manager, or a biochem bachelor's degree. So thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Lindsay, for being here. Seamus.
Seamus Stevens, president. I'm currently the president of Skold Construction. I've been with Skold about 20 years, and essentially day to day, I do project management and estimating work for one of our four companies, Skold Construction, that specific company, but also now involved in the profit and loss statements and some of the insurance and oversee some safety stuff. So a little bit of everything where I'm at now. Background, I went to community college for a couple years and then went to Iowa State. So I have a construction engineering degree from Iowa State. A lot of the construction management people come from Iowa State in the construction engineering program. UNI has a really good construction management program as well. So that's kind of my background. Honestly, our project managers and estimators here in the office have a wide variety of backgrounds. We have one that actually has a psychology and philosophy degree. We have one that has an information systems degree. Have a couple that actually just did, a couple years of community college and then kind of worked up to be project managers here. So a lot of different variety of degrees for us here in the office.
Very good. Thanks, Seamus. And Sean.
All right. I've worked for Story Construction for about 9 years. I started off as a project engineer and about 3 years ago moved to a virtual design and construction engineer position. My education is from Iowa State, have a construction engineering degree.
Very good. All right. So again, students or folks joining us on the line, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write those in the chat. Okay. So question for everyone. Can you describe your typical day? And I know there maybe isn't a typical day, but give us a little bit of a picture into what your world looks like. I don't know. Let's start with Damien. Can you answer that for me?
Yeah, so as right now, I think you're picking me. Oh, there we go. All right, as of right now, we've just been awarded a new project, so it's a lot of procurement or the early phases of a construction build out. So for right now, we've been given some new drawings and new specifications for the project, and what we're going to do is we take those and we review them in full detail, and then we're going to take that work and we're going to split it up into some different scopes and then make sure that everything is detailed. And then we're going to send that out for bidding actually next week. And then it's reviewing with those contractors and discussing the scope and making sure they have certain work included and getting their pricing. And then it's awarding contractors, and then it's going through and taking all their product data and all of their questions and comments, and then making sure they understand the work. And if anything comes up, it's my responsibility to help them get those issues solved all the way to the completion of the project.
Very good. Thanks. Annette, how about you?
Like I stated in the beginning, my role takes on many different roles. I will take a project right as it leaves the bidding stage and get all of our subcontractors pre-qualified to make sure their safety is correct and up to our standards. Financials are in order so that they can work on the project. I write their contracts and put their scopes together, get the contracts sent out, executed. My typical day could be anywhere from maybe getting all my billings organized to the accounting to get that situated and an owner billing out to our owner, to sitting in on design bidding meetings with the owner and subcontractors, to reviewing some shop drawings. So it's all over the place.
Very good. Seamus, how about you?
For me, there's probably one of my favorite things about the job is a wide variety of different stuff we do. And I do on a daily basis. So I guess estimating wise, I have about 30 projects a month I'm going to bid myself that I will do takeoffs off and bid. They're all, there's some bigger projects, but we tend to do a ton of small projects. So there's a lot going on there. In addition to that, estimating wise, I do surveys for all the Iowa jobs and put our bid list together for all the Des Moines companies. So I'm putting everything on the bid list that we're going to be bidding on basically about any scope for all the hard bid or bid that's going to multiple general contractors. And then you get into project management. So we're going to have, from probably up to 50 projects that are in some shape or form, from start of it just in processing contracts to jobs that we are, complete and checking on retainage to see when we're going to retain retainage. So that's probably project management wise what I do. And then you've got, payables I do weekly, cash requirements I do weekly to run the payroll and run checks. And then also, I also help our marketing gal with some of the lunch and learns with architects. So I do some lunch and learns presentations to architects occasionally on the products that I handle. And then, scheduling wise, I have a superintendent, and him and I work together on the schedule and where the guys are going to be at and what projects are going to be going to, and making sure we're taking care of everybody, type of thing. So just a wide variety of different things. That's probably my favorite part of the job. It's just a variety of different things we got to handle all the time.
Yeah, I'm kind of hearing that common theme from all three of you. Lots of variety. Probably you're all very good at multitasking, I would think, as you got a lot of things that you're constantly coordinating and keeping the balloons in the air, right? Keeping everything afloat. Lindsay, what does your typical day look like, or week?
Well, right now, as Damien was saying, we're kicking off a project. Safety professionals have to do a balancing act between office and field. So right now, there's a lot of office work involved with writing and updating safety programs, procedures, other types of plans and job hazard analysis and risk assessments, and getting that kickstarted and ready to go. And then it gets down to, once those things are approved, being a part of pre-construction and kickoff meetings with our trade partners to make sure that they understand the expectations of how to be successful from a safety perspective on the project. And then eventually getting that down to the orientation level with every level of worker that's going to be on site, and preparing them for how to really do a project not only efficiently and with the best quality, but as safe as possible as well. So it really expands as the project goes. And then it gets into a follow through aspect. So you've laid out these great plans, you've communicated a consistent message. Now it's a process of executing those in the field and ensuring that we are following the plan as anticipated. And if things aren't working, then we get feedback from the employees to figure out what can we do better? How can we really execute the intent behind this? And we can make changes to the plans as necessary. So that's more of like an auditing and inspection setup. And then you can get into when things potentially fail. So you're getting into incident reporting and developing root cause analyses to figure out how we can ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. And we do claims management as well. So from a safety perspective side, that's really what you end up going through on a regular basis. And it depends on how the day goes. If you're going to be more field, if you have more pre-planning meetings, it's a real good balance between pre-planning, executing the plan, and then ensuring that the plan is coming to fruition.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. Sean, we'll wrap it up with you. What's your typical day look like?
Sure. So right now I'm in the middle of doing 3D coordination for a $100 million Cedar Falls High School project. So basically part of that process is getting 3D models from our subcontractors that have been hired for the project, combining those models, and then kind of looking to see where different mechanical, electrical systems will fit, areas where they won't fit. So we're trying to make sure ultimately that we can build the building as the architect and owner envisioned. And if there's areas where they've got too much above a ceiling, we might have to find a new place for that equipment, resize that equipment, relocate it or lower a ceiling, those types of things. So really it's kind of reviewing a 3D model as opposed to a 2D drawing set to make sure everything will fit inside the building. As we get a little bit farther into the project, once we've kind of determined that, hey, we can build this as it's shown or make the changes necessary, then I'll start working with the superintendent to create some visual construction schedules, just kind of to show how the different components and when the different components of the building will be built, just so that we can just better see see the process. I mean, when you're viewing a 2D plan or a schedule, it can be hard to understand what all the words means, what all the parts and pieces are going to look like. But that's where looking at things in that 3D model can be really helpful. So I put together those models and try and help them understand what their schedule looks like in a 3D environment.
Great. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, everyone, for giving us a peek into your day. We do have a question in the chat from Joe. And I know that, the title of this session was construction operations. And so his question is really kind of towards the operator side of things. And so I'm wondering if some of you as project managers could maybe help answer this question. What positions are you looking to fill currently in your companies? Are some of those the operator positions with a basic construction equipment operating certificate? What type of positions would that be eligible for? And then what would a typical starting salary be? Who wants to, is there someone, I don't know, Seamus?
Yeah, so I guess for us, it's so currently I think we're always looking for good people. So I wouldn't say we're not looking for anybody, but for the most part, we're in pretty good shape manpower wise. We are looking for some, field type laborers on the non-union side, right now. So, that could be from $16 to $20 an hour. And typically, we don't have a ton of operators here. I mean, you could technically call a couple positions operators, but for the most part, they're usually just laborers that work into doing a little bit of operating work. We have a small Bobcat that we run some. We have a Gypcrete pump that we run some. And we do some polyurea pumps, but there's just not a ton of equipment involved with what we have. There is equipment, but it's smaller and not per se true operator type situations. So,
Okay.
So Amy, I think from a standpoint, I could probably say that any of us on this call, any of our companies are probably looking for any type of positions. There's always positions open in construction, whether it be laborers, project managers, project engineers, project assistants, project coordinators. There is a plethora of jobs available in the construction industry. So I would say, just in general, it's a good industry to be in, just because there is, well, like me, I'm an estimator, right? We're always looking for estimators. Nobody wants to do it. Right, Seamus? No, it's a great position, but yeah. So.
Gotcha. Any other, Annette with White's, Damian Turner, do you know of any?
Yeah. So Joe, I actually have a question for you. So you said operating sort of certificates and stuff. Is that any particular types of machines, or is it like heavy duty machines or smaller ones?
I'm not exactly sure what the certificate is going to entail through the DMAC program, to tell you the truth. But I'm pretty sure that it's just basic equipment. So it'd be like, probably I'm going to assume small backhoes and skid steers and things like that.
Okay. With that sort of experience, I would probably start out in the actual position of operating. So looking at either like an earthwork contractor who's going to be running machines all the time, or even like electrical contractors will perform their own excavations for installation of like underground stuff, and even plumbing or HVAC, so things like that. And then as you get that experience, you can move into like a management role, superintending, or things like that. If you want to take on the more responsibility of running a crew on a job, and then moving up to sort of a, even running a project from that standpoint. But I can't necessarily speak on the salaries for that.
Okay, thank you.
And Joe, we can chat afterwards too, but I have another connection that might be good for you. I just had a conversation about specifically like operations positions
Okay.
just yesterday. So we can chat after we get done here too, if you'd like to be connected in that way. So,
Okay, yeah, thank you.
okay, yeah. Any other questions at the moment from our audience here? Okay, time goes so fast. It's already, oh yes, Jessica, please.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much for having it. This is great. I'm taking down some really good notes and everything like that. I'm Jessica Schultz. I work with ICANN, so I travel out to all high schools in Iowa, and I speak with kids regarding college and career planning and financial aid. And I was hoping some of you could, I just have two quick questions here. I was hoping some of you can help me with. Some of the biggest questions that I get from high school kids would be regarding job shadows. They're just trying to find out the right career fit for them in the construction industry, whether it be construction, electrician, HVAC, plumbing and heating, what will be the best fit for them, or possibly going on to an engineering part of the component of the construction industry. Do your businesses offer any job shadows or internships where students can get a look to see if this is going to be the right career fit for them?
So you're speaking high school, right?
Yes.
Versus
Yep.
College. Just make sure, since you use the term intern, because we hire a lot of college interns.
College intern. Okay.
So I can tell you a story. We do it kind of sporadically. If a student is interested, we try to at least keep their interest going. So we will try to make it fit in. I know we have one coming up here in April that we're doing. We work with the DMAC Scale program also. So if there's any kids that anybody knows in the Scale program, we usually try to work with them and get students in. But I'm guessing a lot of the others would be more than happy to have job shadows too. A lot of times it's just based on, we just have to ask permission if we want to go on job sites or whatever.
Okay.
Even with things virtually now, it's pretty easy. I've done that too. So.
Jessica,
Yeah.
what part of the world are you in? I mean, what school districts do you work with?
Well, when I'm allowed in my office, I'm out of building 5 in Ankeny.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but which high schools are you specifically working with?
The central part of the state and right
Okay.
now Northwest Iowa. So,
Okay.
yeah. It's so just kids have questions that, if they're not sure what they want to get into just yet. And I'm always wondering, in a job shadow in a construction on site and things like that, what that would entail for them, or if they're even allowed to be on site to see what they would do on a day-to-day basis. So that's kind of some of the questions that we get.
And that's usually just where we have to ask permission just to make sure that like I always make sure our operations, our chief operating officer knows that we're going to have somebody that's under 18 on site and stuff, or ask the project manager. But I'm sure Amy's sent me questions before, and then I just try to find people that will help them out. So
Great, thank you.
yeah, I'm sure Annette would be glad to have people at her sites.
Oh, well, they'd have to travel down to Arkansas City, Kansas. So yes, I would love to have people down there.
What? Oh, are you working out of Des Moines though, right?
I work out of the office here, yes,
gonna
but my
say, you didn't
main
like-
site is south.
I mean, I know I haven't seen you for like a year, but, and I know you moved, but I didn't think that far.
So here's a question for the group, and whoever would like to answer this. What advice do you have for young people that are interested in the construction industry in general, but maybe more specifically getting into that project management side of things? What advice would you have for them as high school students, as young college students, as far as courses to take? What can they do to kind of explore that pathway?
I can answer part of this question. My son went through this path. He really didn't know what he wanted to do. So we had him take a year. He took a year at DMAC to get like general courses, and then he took a gap year. During that gap year, he was able to work as a laborer here within White's. And that really, he got to see all aspects of what the construction industry entailed. So now he'll be graduating this year, and with it to be a project engineer, and his hope is becoming either a field super or a construction manager, whichever area he wants to go. But I would strongly suggest that they try to do as many internships as possible in the construction field, just so they can get an idea and not come into it their last year in college. So.
Great, thanks, Annette. I hear that often. Get as much hands-on experience as you can early, get to know some of the people in the field, see it, see what opportunities exist, because there's so many. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I would say if you're wanting to be a project manager, eventually be a project manager, that I would encourage you, like Annette said, one, get a lot of internships and do different things that way, but encourage you to get a 4-year degree. It's going to help you with the upward mobility and to get to the project manager level faster. It doesn't mean you have to have one, because you don't, but for some companies you probably do. I actually started here. I was an intern, a college intern from Iowa State. I went to community college for a couple of years before I went to Iowa State. And when I started here as an intern, I actually worked in the field mostly for the first summer, and even the first couple of years. A good chunk of my time was in the field, and only part of my time was in the office. So the other aspect I would say is just be willing to do whatever needs done, whether it's in the field, in the office, and eventually you'll find your path of what you like to do, and the company will kind of push you down that path, that direction. So.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Kind of along those lines, what are the most important skills for people to have if they're going to get into the construction world? Would you say?
I'll say attention to detail. There are so many different details that we review on every project. No matter if you're an estimator, me as a VDC engineer, any of the positions, you just have to have an attention to detail, and then the ability to communicate what those details might mean. It doesn't do anybody any good to see something and understand something. You've got to be able to communicate it to the rest of the team in a meaningful way.
Mm-hmm. Communication, so important, it seems, in every profession.
I would add also like organization and like being able to keep track of all the information you get for projects, because there will be plenty of times where an item from 6 or 7 months ago can get brought back up, and you'll have to have that discussion about things that have happened in the past. So being able to keep track of all the information you've ever received, and make sure all that's organized, as well as I would say some just like general or light accounting practice, because any kind of management position, anything, you're going to deal with some money, and just understanding how to sort all that out and keep track of it.
Mm-hmm. Great. Any other tips for those on the call? Okay. Gosh, what should we end with here? Trying to think if there's a good question to wrap up our time. What's been the most rewarding thing in your career thus far?
I can start with that one.
Okay.
I think the most rewarding thing for me is just being able to solve problems. So any given day at any given time, something will come up, and it's just my responsibility to solve that. And then when it's done and everything's fixed and sorted out, it's very rewarding knowing that you helped help some people finish and install a building, and we're able to work with so many different teams and get things sorted out.
I think the most rewarding thing for safety professionals is being able to be the voice for employees that think they don't have one, right? And to be the go-between of providing the feedback from the field to those that have the power to make change. It's one of the most rewarding things I've ever experienced, is to be able to be the conscience of those that aren't thinking about their environment. Or, you know, we always say that you can't have 100% focus 100% of the time. And unfortunately, the construction industry, because of how it changes every second, requires that. And so you need to be able to have someone else looking out for you, and having someone else being able to cross some of those barricades that are in front of you, those obstacles that you feel like you can't cross because you don't have enough power, enough voice, or enough, pull in your company to do anything about it. And it's one thing that I have seen improvements and seen the way it can save lives. So that's the most rewarding part for me.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Lindsay. Annette, Seamus, Sean, anything else you'd like to share?
Sure,
I guess
go ahead, Seamus.
I guess I would say I probably have like three things. One, we're a subcontractor, so we tend to work on a lot of different, we have a small scope on a lot of projects. So it's fun to work on some of them are smaller projects that are really neat, like the Come and Go headquarters. We did a little bit of work down there, but we've worked at Facebook and Amazon, and, we're working on a lot of these larger projects all over town and even all over the state that are fun to have a little piece in them. So that's enjoyable for me. And then two, with being a subcontractor, instead of like you guys, a lot of these general contractors are wrapped up in building a project. We are, it's a lot about building a company. So the companies have grown here since I've been here quite a bit. And so it's been fun to see that grow. And then it's also fun to see the growth in the employees in them, because those employees, as the company grows, they have more responsibilities and grow with the company. So those are the three things that I think I really enjoy about my job.
Great. And Sean, you were going to add something too.
Yeah, I think, in construction, one of the things that I really enjoy is seeing a finished project. So for me, I've been part of several schools. Now my kids are in those schools, so I can walk through a hallway, that I certainly was part of helping to build. Several of the, companies in Des Moines and Ames area, where you built a workspace for an entire group of people. Being able to see that, just as you drive to work or drive around town, having kind of that physical thing, you can see that you're a part of, helping with the problem solving and all the other things that everybody else has mentioned. You kind of have that permanent reminder or semi-permanent reminder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I'm aware of the time, and we have come up to already 10:35. So we're probably going to wrap this up unless there are any questions from Jessica and others on the line. Feel free to ask them now. If not,
this is more of a just an agreement with everybody. I get a lot of questions from high school students. Math classes are important, correct? Okay, good. So I wanted to know.
Yes, keep spreading that message, Jessica.
Okay.
I think math is important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reading a tape measure.
Free and tape measure.
And I'm sure all of these panelists could probably point to specific examples of when they use math every day.
Okay.
Could you not? All right. Well, if there's no further questions, again, thank you all so much for your time and for your expertise and for sharing a little bit about what you do on a daily basis. We've really appreciated it. Students, thank you for joining us today, and have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.